Well, salutations, fellow idiots. Welcome back to another episode of Full Moon Live. I am joined once again by our friend, Chris Pico, the old-ass retro gamer. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good.
Tonight we are concluding our trilogy of discussions here for the, I don't know what you'd call this, the Dollman crossover. Yeah, there you go. The Dollman trilogy. He's not in the second one, but he's there in spirit. So we're going to obviously be talking about Dollman versus Demonic Toys. We got a trailer to run for you real quick before we dive into the finer points of this. But I think this week I'm going to run those first impressions before we do the trailer. So what's your history with this movie, Chris? Sort of where do you place it in the trilogy there in terms of ranking? Do you enjoy it? All that fun stuff.
Do you want to know what I thought of it back then or what I think of it now?
Both.
Okay. Back in the day, I was super stoked about it because obviously the concept of having like two Full Moon like properties like merging together into one movie, I thought was kind of like the coolest thing ever. So I was like, when I saw the poster at my local video store, I lost my shit. I was just like, ah! You know? And I remember really, really liking it when it first came out. I remember I rented it, made a copy. I watched it a lot. So it was definitely one of my favorites back then. I watch it now, not so much.
Yeah, it's beer and popcorn shit. I mean, it's just, you kind of throw it on if you don't have time to watch Dollman or Demonic Toys. You just chuck this bastard on and you get a little like taste. You get your fix.
Maybe not even an episode of a television show.
Yeah, we were just talking about that prior to going live. Like the movie, the exact runtime of it is an hour flat, if memory serves, or 64 minutes. Now it does
4 minutes make a difference.
They do. It does have probably the best opening sequence of any Full Moon movie. I do really enjoy that with the neon stuff going on or whatever it is. I don't know. There's probably a word for that effect they're using there. I'm sure it was something that was just built into whatever editor they had to work with. It feels like a 90s camcorder effect, but used pretty well. But once you chop out like the intro and the end credits and the flashback sequences, I think this movie's about 40 minutes long. You know, it's a real straight to the point. You know, that gets in there, gets it done, and doesn't really add too much to the story. But you get plenty of Dollman action, plenty of Demonic Toys action, some gross rapey jokes from the baby that are a little unsettling the more I watch it.
Yeah,
it's a bit.
Yeah, weird. I was kind of groaning to myself when those jokes were happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's like probably when he calls Tracy Scoggins a slut is maybe the only proper funny baby oopsie line in this movie too. They changed the voice for baby. And we lose the teddy bear, which sucks. Yeah. But, you know, they had to put a G.I. Joe in there for Brick Bardo to fight. So him just fighting a bear would have been pretty awesome, too.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was a deleted scene where the G.I. Joe character went to scream and Brick Bardo slapped him on the back like in One Crazy Summer, and his face was stuck in that scream face the whole rest of the movie.
Hell yeah. That would have been sweet, dude.
Because I didn't realize that the whole movie, it's just...
I mean, I get the logic of them needing like a character for Brick to go toe to toe with, but I feel like the teddy bear would have worked. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Although I do think that Small Soldiers copied the look of the main evil toy from this.
Oh yeah, he does look a bit like Chip Hazard for sure.
I was just like, ooh, that looks familiar.
It's hard not to see the parallel there, and even the way he's designed from head to toe does remind me a lot of Small Soldiers. The more I think about it, so you're onto something.
There you go, Dollman versus Small Soldiers.
I think if you were making tiny toy movies at that point, you had to have at least been aware of Full Moon, you know?
Yeah,
because they were the name in the game, I suppose, when it comes to that stuff. My history with it's very similar to yours, dude. I fucked with it as a kid off and on. I don't know if it was ever like a favorite. It was just kind of a pretty rad little crossover movie. It always did sort of feel like supplemental material, I suppose, because it is so short. And I imagine being stoked seeing that poster. I wish I could have seen that as a kid. I do own it as an adult. You'll notice I actually swapped them out for you this week. there's still those posters, especially. I look at them sometimes and I'm like, man, that is pretty magnificent to just have all those, because they're such, each of them individually are such just splendid pieces of art, I think. And you can get a closer look at it right there on the case. And
yeah,
it's good stuff.
That's probably better than the movie.
It is legitimately better than the movie. So we're going to let you guys get a little taste of that right now with the trailer for Dollman versus Demonic Toys. And then we'll start breaking it down for you guys. It should go pretty quick and smooth because, as we've mentioned, it's a fairly short film. So enjoy. We'll see you back here momentarily.
A cop from another world.
What's the matter? You never seen a cop before?
And a nurse shrunk by aliens.
Just the thing to drive G.I. Joe insane.
Will you get the hell out of here?
Are teaming up with a big partner.
She's a cop in trouble.
For some deadly fun and games.
Toys that come to life and kill people to help a demon from hell? Jesus Christ!
Not quite, slut.
You can go where those toys go. You're the perfect size to help me kick their butts.
Let's start up the entertainment, boys.
And this time,
This is back for another ass kicking.
Get the hell away from me!
they're picking on someone their own size.
Gosh, guys, this is the best bachelor party a guy could ever ask for.
Tim Thomerson, Tracy Scoggins, and Melissa Baer.
Pop goes the weasel.
Dollman versus the Demonic Toys.
You'll love it. It's really gonna tear you up.
Well, that screaming face you were talking about was in there.
Yep.
Did not take into account that it was going to, output that video in the 4:3 or whatever it is.
I tried to stay still.
That's unfortunate, but I'll have to figure out a solution for that in the future. I don't know. Maybe I can put I'll just run them through a video editor and make it, the way it needs to be. But, I think you guys get the gist there. It really kind of implies Tracy Scoggins is in more of the movie than she is, but there's not much of a movie for her to not be in. So I suppose it's not that big of a
sorry,
deal.
guys, I got an audition. Deuces.
Yeah, it very much feels like she came in and did it as a favor, which is rad. Full Moon seems to, or Charlie in general, seems to be able to get people to come back and do that stuff sometimes.
I mean, his movies are probably fun to work on. So, I mean, a lot of them are probably just willing to put up with, no budget.
Yeah.
Cheese sandwiches every day. Stories of trauma.
Yeah, man, those cheese sandwiches are legendary. I almost just want one just to keep, somehow preserve it. Fucking dip it in resin or something and just put it on a trauma shelf. We got Michael McNally up in the house. What's up, buddy? I'm surprised Corey's not up in here, but he'll probably pop in or watch later. So the basic gist of Demonic Toys, I mean, we can just throw it right down in 10 seconds, really. Tracy Scoggins has still been staking out the toy warehouse because she's insistent that the dolls are going to come back. Old, hobo fella goes in there and demonstrates the dangers of riding tricycles while impaired, ends up cracking his fucking skull open, and it mixes with his booze and seeps into the toy crates. I'm not really even sure what they shot that scene for, because then the demonic toys just materialize out of nowhere. But the crates are shaking around for a minute. Maybe they teleported out of them.
Someone saw Hellraiser and was like, yeah, things have to shake.
Yeah, pretty much. So they're back. And Tracy Scoggins ends up getting arrested because, she's off the force or something like that. And she's been told to stop fucking around and bothering this people at this warehouse or whatever. Phil Fondacaro's in there just trying to read his nudie mags in peace. He ends up sort of making a pact.
Jerking the gherkin.
Yeah. Dude, he looks so adorable with that full-size man gun. Every time that I see the movie and he's holding the gun,
the gun's bigger than him. So
he was at the Crypticon the other weekend, dude. I just unfortunately the schedule was as such that I was not able to make it. I think his panel overlapped with Fiona Dorff. And I was
Ooh.
trying to hit all the Chucky stuff with the kid because,
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's her, like, one of her main things. So we got to see her because the dude that played Andy canceled. They rolled the Child's Play 2 panel into it. So we got her and we got the chick, the punker type
stepsister,
yeah. So that was a neat addition. They played off each other pretty well, actually. It kind of makes me wish that they could get a bunch of scenes together in that show. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, Phil was up in there. Pretty sure
I met him. He was pretty nice when I met him.
Mags. He seems like a nice dude. He's always a favorite character to see showing up in Full Moon movies, not just because of his tiny stature, but because Phil's actually a pretty decent actor in terms of, I guess, like low budget B movie type stuff.
Yeah.
I
always thought he was pretty good in Troll.
Yeah, he's great in Troll. He's pretty good in Ghoulies 2. He's also up in Sideshow later for Fred Olen Ray. Kind of reprising the same character almost. There you go. I didn't realize Full Moon did Willow, but
no, I'm just.
It's a good feather.
He does big budget movies too.
Shit, he discovered Val Kilmer basically. I don't
know. He introduced him to his ex-wife.
Oh, see, Septum Sin still hasn't seen these, and I think you really should get on that, man. I think you'd probably like Demonic Toys. Well, Dollman's hard to beat, but I think between this one and Demonic Toys is clearly the better film. But this one's not bad. You just chuck it on. It's so short that it's not gonna cut into your time too much to just bookend it.
You watch it while you're taking a shit.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, shit, dude. Yeah, sometimes depending on what you've had recently, you could finish it before that
before you finish.
So Phil's in there. He's kind of made a pact with the toys. Tracy Scogans basically realizes that she can't take these toys on alone. She can't go where they go, because they keep dodging her into these vents and stuff, which leads to some pretty cool sequences later in the film. So she heads out to Pahuda to locate Dollman because she's pretty sure, rightly so, that he is headed out to, link up with this tiny lady from Bad Channels, which it is important to note that was a retcon. In the original ending for Bad Channels, it was supposed to be Bunny, played by Charlie Spradling, who was the girl that was still shrunk at the end. They changed it to Ginger, I imagine, because Charlie was probably busy with something. I don't know.
Doing all those video zones.
Yeah, it would have been really cool to see her up in this because I always enjoy her. But, I
always thought she was pretty adorable.
She is super adorable. And I especially like her in Midian, even though there's some questionable things that happen to her in that. Yeah, you got a good double header there of a couple of hot chicks in that one. But yeah, so Brick is basically assumes that this girl's probably lonely, being the only other tiny person like that on the planet. So he heads out there. Tracy Scogans kind of picks up on their location from this dude that's like this greasy ass reporter, just one of the greasiest characters.
His voice cracks me up in the movie.
You are correct, Septum Sin. It is definitely better than those Apes movies for sure. You might not be familiar with those, Chris, but
no.
You're probably better off. It's. So basically, this puts them all on a collision course. Old Tracy Scogans. I think her name's Judith. I keep forgetting that, but that's it. Yeah, it's said several times in Demonic Toys. She shows up on them when they're about to get busy. We get some cool sort of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids stuff with Ginger and Dollman, where he saves her from a spider. He's dropping some sweet, maybe even overly confident one-liners throughout most of this movie too. Dollman seems a bit cockier in this one, I think, than he is in his flagship film. And pretty much she is able to convince him to help her out and take on these toys, and that's the plot in a nutshell. They end up at the warehouse with the toys. It turns out that the plan here is for baby Oopsie to take the master into himself, the devil essentially, and he's gonna make sweet love to Ginger to produce some type of devil baby. It's as awkward and kind of cringe-inducing as it sounds. It doesn't help that they make him look like some type of fucked up birthday party mascot when he's like the big version of
the big ass suit that's ripping her clothes off and shit.
the scaling with the bigger versions of them is a little wonky in this. You see some of it too when they're running around in the vents, and Jack Attack is in there. Like, he looks way bigger than he should compared to them. But
yeah, when they show
they're
like
13 inches.
When they show like the human costume Baby Oopsie, it reminds me of one of those like inflatable sumo outfits that you wear. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of for some reason.
It totally did. And that's, I mean, unless I left anything out, that's it. It's, it's the type of plot you could fit into like a Saturday morning cartoon episode or something. It's really not that complicated. I do have to give them credit for the usage of the flashbacks. They do kind of set it up in that way where, if you didn't have access to the other movies, you're brought up to speed pretty adequately through the course of those flashbacks. And really, as much as we've, kind of clowned on the length of the film, the flashbacks aren't overly long, I wouldn't say. They're a sizable chunk of the movie, combined with the credits because the movie's so short. But in total, I think it's probably like maybe 10 minutes of flashbacks, and that's between all three movies,
Yeah.
So we get one for Judith, we get one for Ginger, and we get one for Brick. And you get to see some good bits of the previous films in those. I like how they showed that jiggly little demon baby for the Demonic Toys one. That was pretty great. So actually 4 flashback sequences because when Baby tells them about that. So
yeah,
not bad. And then there's just a series of scenes throughout, fucking they end up coming and infiltrating the doll warehouse. Poor Phil Fondacaro takes a bullet. And then it's on, they
Judith
pretty much
gets taken
immediately
out.
kill Judith.
Yeah, pretty uneventfully, I guess, is the word I would use.
Yeah.
Where she just kind of gets like zapped by the robot and she just kind of falls over and it's like, oh, okay, I guess you're going to be in this movie anymore. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, I like how it's almost as if the decision was made mid-script too, because at first Brick is like, you'll pull through, Judith, don't worry. And then she's like, no, I'm going to die actually, but I'll see you guys later. And that's it.
It's like cop fist bump.
Pretty much. And then, I think he immediately wastes the little robot dude too.
Yeah.
So he's actually probably the only character that's in the movie less than Judith. I think even the reporter guy is technically on screen for maybe longer than she is.
Yeah.
All total. And then it's just, down to Brick, Jack Attack, Baby Oopsie, and the G.I. Joe guy. I'm not sure what his actual name is.
I think they just called him Army Guy or something. It was something like something like super simple.
Strangely enough, I think that's another one of the super obvious Full Moon characters that didn't get an action figure. But there's Dollman doesn't even have a fucking action figure, which still blows my mind.
Come on, Charlie, get on that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the hell they did.
Stand at you, smack you in the face.
3 or 4 different attempts at a toy line and never gave us a Brick Bardo figure.
I have Dollman comics, but there's no action figure. What the fuck?
Yeah, dropping the ball, Chucky.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean, Jack Attack's pretty much used as a snake in the vents. That's kind of his role in the film for the most part.
His death does produce probably the best one-liner of the movie.
What was that again?
The pop goes the weasel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Brick is firing him off in this. A lot of people seem to think that, he kind of saves the movie.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in it, it would almost be kind of unwatchable, maybe. Because it would just be a bunch of gross fucking, Baby Oopsie sort of rape stuff. And I think Brick kind of softens it a little bit, weirdly enough.
Yeah, he lightens it up quite a bit for a guy that has a gun that makes things explode.
It does, and we get to see a couple of moments of that in this. Actually, he splatters that spider pretty good at the beginning of the movie. I feel like Jack's death is pretty gruesome too.
Yeah,
the robot just kind of blows up, and Baby Oopsie eventually gets splattered all over the place as well, and then somehow put back together for Demonic Toys too.
I wish that the way he shot Baby Oopsie was that he shot him right in the dick.
Yeah, that would be great.
What he was trying to do to Ginger. That would have been like the perfect come-uppance.
Yeah. That's better than any of the jokes in this movie, though.
I made it funny.
She does get, Ginger gets a solid knee into that crotch, though. So at least we got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I mean, we don't really get that. I think the main element that's missing from this movie is more of that devil dude. I think that would have added something cool to it as well.
Yeah, I think bringing the kid back would have probably been, at least, I mean, maybe not in physical form, but maybe there was just like the dolls would be talking to like a spirit form of that kid.
Yeah.
Or something, just something to, I mean, so I hadn't seen the movie in probably, I don't know, I probably hadn't seen it since the mid 90s, right? So when I was watching it the other day, I'm just kind of like, it feels like Charlie Band goes, hey, it'd be really cool if we like mix Dollman and demonic toys. That'd be pretty cool, right? Write me a script, and everyone's just kind of like, what do we do? Now we actually have to think of something. That sounds like a great idea. Now what do we do? And I guess it feels like they threw it together like in an afternoon. Like they just like wrote up a script real quick and said, let's go shoot it. That's why it's so short. But there was definitely a lot of things they could have done to at least pad the runtime a little bit more. There was so much stuff they like missed opportunity kind of things, I guess.
Yeah,
that kind of bugged me.
I mean, there's several ways too that they could have had like the toys somehow sneak onto a ship, maybe with Brick and Ginger that he's constructed, and then like they end up on Brick's planet and they're full size there or something. I mean,
I still think they never bring up what the whole point of the original Demonic Toys movie was, and that was the fact that Judith was pregnant.
Yeah.
Where's the kid? Because I'm sitting there going, like, if this takes place directly after the first Demonic Toys happens, then they just killed a pregnant lady.
I feel like,
but I don't think it actually is. I think they said it's been like months since Demonic.
Yeah.
Like she's been staking out that building for like months and months and months. So I'm assuming she's had the kid by now.
I want to say during that portion,
you just made that kid an orphan, Charlie.
Yeah, you did. That's pretty fucking cold, dude. I feel like she does briefly mention that she was like left alone with the kid or something like that when she's telling Brick about her whole backstory thing. Mm. I could be wrong, but I feel like there's like a brief, like just sort of offhand remark that she makes during that sort of like implies the kid's like living with her parents or something like that.
Yeah,
whatever single moms do.
Yeah, I would have at least had a couple of scenes with her and the kid.
Yeah,
or something it could have padded out the. I don't expect Charlie Band to go into like heavy drama territory, but we could at least show the fact that, her obsession with the toys and the effect it's having like on like her home life kind of thing.
Yeah, their home life and relationship. It also would have been really funny if somehow at the end Brick like saves the kid, but she's dead, and then he's like, "Well, sorry, kid, you're going to a foster home." Like that would have been a sweet ending to it.
It's like, "Sorry, fat boy."
Exactly. It seems like something Brick would say. That's actually from a random Sonny Chiba movie I saw once. The dub at the end was, I think, meant to be intentionally comedic through most of the movie, but the very end of it, like he rescues this kid that he's trying to protect the whole time is like left with him, and he just pats the kid on the back and he goes, "Well, you're going to a foster home, kid," and then they just walk off into the fucking sunset, dude. So it would have been a cool nod to that if they had been able to pull that off with Brick. I
would have made a complete bastard at the end.
Right. I feel like his explanation of what happened between him and Kamala or whatever from the first movie, Rosie, I think her name was. I love how just, he sort of just skims over it. He's
matters.
Like, yeah, I had a thing for her, but it just wasn't in the cards, and I was running out of bullets, so I decided to get out of town. He just ditched her because she wouldn't put out, basically, is what he's trying to say. Or couldn't. I mean, I wouldn't want to imagine how that would work, but
it'd be like the ending of House of the Dead Overkill.
I've not seen that, but that sounds intriguing.
Oh, guy crawls back into his giant dead mommy's cooch.
Oh, wow. Something similar kind of happens in the first Violent Shit movie. He crawls into Jesus' vagina as like a symbolic rebirth or something. Yeah. He crawls in there and comes out his fucking guts.
Yeah, the villain in the game, his mom is like this giant, like 30-foot tall thing, and when you kill it, the bad guy kind of goes like, "I just want to go back to the womb." And you just all you see is the reactions of the two characters you play as, and you hear in the background a sound like
oh my god.
And they're going like
stirring.
And one guy goes, "That shit's icky."
That's that type of gross, weird shit that I'm such a fan of. I just would love to have came up with that, and stuck it in there because no one's gonna expect that. I feel like, and I want to say in my review of it, I kind of I played with kid gloves with this point a little bit, but it could have stood for like having more of a body count too.
Yeah,
I get it that the whole point is to have the toys versus brick, and that's really the kind of the main event. But
a build up would have been nice. Like
exactly.
a better build up.
Exactly. It would have even been cool if like it became common knowledge somehow that these dolls were like killing anyone that went into the warehouse, and the actual police force drafted Brick into the situation to go with Judith.
Yeah, and Judith was on that task force kind of situation. See, we can write these movies, Mo.
Yeah, and we didn't even need a whole afternoon.
No.
Come on.
All it
Charlie.
took was some StreamYard stream, and yeah. I
think that the movie is still pretty dang fun. I mean, it's got its issues for sure, but at the end of the day, it's hard for me to hold too much of it against it just because of its runtime. It's like it's over with.
It's over before you know
to worry about it. So, I think probably the fight between Brick and the G.I. Joe dude could have been a little better, but I mean, for that to have been better, I think it would have had to not been Full Moon doing it,
Yeah.
I can't think of too many other elaborate fight sequences in their movies, so I don't
think Tim Thomerson had a stunt double.
No, and his hips already looked like they were probably creaking at this point. So,
so he's just kind of like, I'll swing at the guy a couple times, and then he's going to land in the power socket.
Yeah, pretty anticlimactic, but his scream face is pretty dope. So,
yeah.
I love that they include that in the trailer too. The Jack Attack stuff was neat. I kind of wish we'd gotten like that sort of stuff in the first movie more, because they were crawling around in the vents all the time in that one for a little bit. But it was cool to see it make a comeback. Again, the scaling is a little wonky on it, so it doesn't look as cool as it could. But all things considered, it's fine, I suppose. Ginger, I got to give her credit for, I mean, it's another good example of like a strong female character in a Full Moon movie, but they managed to somehow do it with kind of a ditzy blonde sort of chick that normally would be totally like the damsel in distress, and she ends up that way and eventually, but she's pretty proactive for.
Yeah, she isn't like, I'm just going to stay back here at my house while you go and take care of these toy things. I'm going to come with and, punch some things if I can.
Also, make sure that Tracy Scoggins isn't fucking weaseling in on her man.
That's my 13 inches.
Oh man, that's pretty much exactly the situation. And she's in there, she's chucking stuff at the toys and kneeing babies in the dick. And if she had a gun for the entirety of the thing, I'm sure she would have used that too. Unfortunately, there's not a ton of those available. I think there's just really the one.
Yeah.
Brick doesn't have like a sidearm to his sidearm, yeah. And he said he was running out of bullets, but then he seemed to have plenty of them, so I don't know.
Yeah, where's that long ass cartridge he was using to stick in the Dollman?
His fucking extended clip.
Oh man. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's there's not really a ton to say about the movie. Unfortunately, we've kind of already covered it.
Yeah, it's like you would
the runtime of it.
Like you would think that once they get to the toy factory, like for like the last, what would be probably the last half of the movie, there'd be like some creeping around scenes looking for the toys. It's just like they walk in and they're like right there.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of like.
Yeah, it's like a preset boss encounter almost.
Yeah.
Like it's just all right.
Like the Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 kind of situation. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, they find you. One thing I will say though is the toy warehouse is much cooler in this one. You see like more of the other toys that are in the warehouse. I think there's a scene where they kind of animate a bunch of them momentarily to distract Tracy Scoggins. So that was pretty neat. We didn't really get much of that in the first one. It's just sort of a generic warehouse with a bunch of crates.
Yeah, it looked a hell of a lot cheaper in the first movie. Like the set.
It did. Which is bizarre. You'd think that they would have thrown all that kind of stuff in there and like had, you know, some of the dolls from the movie Dolls populated around the place and just made it look like more
even
of
some of the puppets from Puppet Master, just like throw them in there for like a little Easter egg joke. You know, it's just anything. I mean, even the Ghoulies could have been back there at some point.
Yeah, that would have been sick, dude. And it would have given the warehouse more of that like dark, whimsical toy factory vibe that it has in this one. So that's appreciated for sure. I think that, you know, in terms of like music and stuff, they had it easy because they had the scores from both of the previous movies to kind of just work together into this. And I thought that they do a good job of that, particularly in that opening sequence, how the Dollman shit's going on with his montage of imagery, and then it sort of seamlessly blends into the Demonic Toys theme with their montage and shit. Yep. That was really cool. I don't think we got too much from Bad Channels in there, but
I think just from the flashbacks,
maybe. I think we did get a brief moment of one of those songs, but it's all popular music or whatever. And
then there was a band playing on the radio that was on Ginger's counter when the spider was attacking or whatever. She was listening to the radio or something.
True. And Phil was rocking some old butt rock hair metal type stuff when he was
because he's sitting there like reading his porn going,
oh yeah. I always try to mix the two whenever possible.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I've ever listened to music when I was looking at porn. Maybe I'll fucking try it one of these days. I don't know. Yeah, I would think it would be.
I'm trying to focus.
In terms of effects, I mean, those are fine, I suppose, other than the scaling issues with the toys. You know, they all look fine when they're in their regular size.
Stop motion spider looked pretty good.
It did.
Makes me wonder if that's a what's his name, David Allen thing again.
You know, I'm curious about that as well. Let's pop over here and see if there is any information on that.
It's like, if only I had a device that'd tell me things I'd want to know.
I don't know why on Wiki it's not more common to just list the people that do the effects with the other stuff, you know, which I actually did forget to read off. This was directed by Charles Band, based on a story by Charles Band with a screenplay by Craig Hammond. It was, of course, produced by Charles Band. It's got Tim Thomerson, Tracy Scogins, Melissa Baer, Philip Brock, Phil Fondacaro, and Willie C. Carpenter. It's got cinematography by Adolfo Bartoli, of course. Music by Richard Band. It's really just his previous soundtracks, like we said.
I'm surprised they didn't credit Ripperetti for the Dollman stuff.
Right? Yeah, they should have. But again, Wiki likes to kind of slack on that. It was distributed by Paramount Home Video. This is back when they were still sitting on a bunch of Paramount cash, which begs the question of why more of it didn't go into this movie.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up.
Holy shit! They spent $350,000 on this.
You think they? Well, well, that's something I've always been curious about. Like when you like in all of your full moon videos and stuff, you're always talking about that Paramount money. But I'm just always been curious, like what exactly is the budget for a full moon movie during that era? Because I always assume it's like maybe $1 million at most.
I think so. That's probably the high end. I think, $500K is probably about the average for a lot of them. I think he was able to cut costs on some of the ones that seem more expensive because he already owned the castle or something, Mm-hmm. So that helped a little bit. The Paramount money, I think a lot of it went also obviously into advertising and distribution and all that stuff as well. That's how Full Moon was able to just get into every fucking video store, they had those guys behind them. But certainly some of it went into the movies because you could see a stark drop off in their budgets after the deal with Paramount fell through. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look at them as a spread, but if I was to guess, I would say mid 90s average is probably 350 to 500K, and then the bigger ones like some of the Puppet Masters and shit probably got $1 million,
especially the third one because all the period stuff that they had to do.
Right, yeah, certainly not a small task or a cheap one.
Yeah, that's a lot of costumes, a lot of cars got to rent, buildings, decorations, all that shit.
Indeed. I think stuff too, maybe some of the ones that obviously have much higher end effects or a lot more extras and actors involved, like Pit and the Pendulum or Castle Freak. Those might have cost a decent chunk of change.
I'm pretty sure Arcade costs a lot because they had to redo a lot of the effects.
Yes. So Arcade is probably a great example of money not well spent.
No.
Because those effects are ass, but it's still a pretty fun movie. And they were asked before. I always assumed, like, incorrectly when I did my review, was led to believe that the effects were better. But then when you go see, like, the original footage, it just looks horrible. The stuff that they did, like, when they redid it, actually made it look like 2 or 3 times as good as it did before. I don't know what they were doing. Why would they try to remake Tron basically in the 90s? Just ill-advised.
Yeah, I mean, like, even in the old trailer, those things look just like freaking light cycles.
Yeah, even the redone ones still look like some copyright infringing shit. So what I guess Disney just gave up or whatever after they redid it. They're like, well,
like,
this movie's going to see this shit anyways.
Yeah, no one's going to see this shit. We're not going to make another Tron movie for another 25 years.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I mean, the effects are fine on it. The set dressing is probably better than the first one, which is just, definitely a point in the movie's favor. In terms of everyone's performance, I mean, it's not hard for Tim Thomerson to do this stuff. It's just basically him being like a saltier version of Jack Death. And I think at this point he was 3 or 4 Trancers movies deep.
Yeah.
So
they probably just paid him in whiskey.
Yeah. I'm sure that's probably true. And maybe those fucking nudie mags that Phil was reading.
As long as the pages ain't sticking.
It's
got Phil's seed on it.
Makes it a collector's item.
Oh God.
Phil should have put the master into Phil and used him to impregnate Ginger.
See? That's already better than what we got. But then Phil would be making all the stupid, gross rape jokes, and that would have been bad.
Yeah, that might have altered my childhood pretty significantly. Yeah, there's just no good way to spin that.
No.
Even in the first movie, I mean, clearly that was the idea, was that the master was going to do the nasty with fucking Judith. But it was like this demonic entity thing. It wasn't something that, for all intents and purposes, at the end of the day, is a baby, It just makes it a little fucking weird. I don't think there's really any good way to do that and make it funny. And the changing of the baby's voice is probably the most glaring issue in terms of performance or anything like that in this movie, because the voice is just not good.
Isn't it Frank Welker? I think.
Is that who did it for this one?
I think.
Yes, dude. God damn, he was slumming it.
Yeah, he probably had like one last car payment to make.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. I guess Zombie Toid is the name of the
Zombie Toid.
G.I. Joe. Why? That's fucking stupid. At least Baby Oops-a-Daisy or Jack Attack or Mr. Static for the robot makes sense, but Zombie Toid? Wow.
Somebody wasn't trying. They definitely needed to bring in David S. Goyer to do a pass over that script.
Yeah, there needs to be several passes over several things for this movie here, but I suppose at the end of the day, it could be much, much worse. Demonic
got the
Toys
job
2
done.
Seems like kind of a shit show. So
I mean, you wanted to see Dollman versus the Demonic Toys because that's what's entitled. You get it.
Yeah, you get that, and pretty much that's it. Which is fine. Again, it probably sounds like we're ripping on the movie a little bit, and we are. But
I mean, when it comes to like the 3 movies that we've talked about, I mean, it is, I think, the weakest of the trilogy.
Oh, by many levels. It's it really is just sort of extra content. You really could probably just make like a 20-minute edit of this movie and have all the cool stuff in the movie in that 20 minutes and call it a day.
Yeah. I guess my biggest thing is that I expected a little bit more from it. Like, they didn't take it far enough as far as I was concerned.
Not at all. And it seems to be, we've talked a lot about like the Full Moon Revengers stuff or potential crossovers they could have done. But I think what it really boils down to, because when you look at the Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys crossover, that's ass too. I mean, they've always had the ambition to do this stuff, but not the follow through to actually do it. It feels
it's like wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And everyone says, of course, yes, that would be amazing. But then actually coming up with something that would satisfy all the fans kind of situation seems to be what they never seem to get right.
Yeah, it almost seems like they don't even really try. Like they just kind of slap together.
It's like we'll just get by on the name.
Here it is. Exactly.
Yeah, the name's what's going to sell it, and we could just have it be half the original Dollman movie, and the other half be the last half of Demonic Toys, and people will probably still rent it.
Yep, just the poster, the cover art would get them to plunk down their couple of bucks to take home the tape. I feel like that's probably a symptom too of Charles's need to always have like too many projects going on at once. Maybe if they slowed down a little bit on occasion and focused on some of these types of projects, it would work out better.
Yeah,
because it just feels like, 93 Full Moon, I think, put out like fucking 6 movies that year or something like that. And that's, might not seem like a lot if you're thinking of like Troma or some other low budget like company doing it. But the Full Moon movies, as we've mentioned on previous streams, are a bit more involved than that stuff. They're bigger productions. So to be putting out that many movies in one year, it's a lot of different irons and a lot of different fires. And, he wasn't going to stop
corner cutting.
Yeah. Both their crossover events seemed to kind of suffer from that. I mean, shit, dude, he didn't even care enough to do Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys himself. That got like outsourced to friggin' Sci-Fi or whatever.
Yeah, you were telling me. I still haven't watched it.
I mean, the part of me that enjoys, subjecting people to bad movies wants you to see it, but I wouldn't in good conscience.
Well, that's just one of the things is like the prospect of having, a Puppet Master Demonic Toys crossover just sounds fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. And
then like you say, it's like, and it's not what you expect it to be. It's not going to be good. I'm like,
as soon as you see the design of all the puppets and the toys, you're going to be like, what in the fuck happened here? Why?
You don't mess with perfection.
They look like Funko Pop versions of them, actually, now that I think about it. They look like cheap vinyl, like little dolls of them that you would buy and not the actual. It's
like the reaction figure version?
Pretty much, dude. They should have just CGI'd it or something. It would have still looked terrible, but at least I could, at least know that someone didn't make that shit by hand. This is leagues better than that movie. It's still a pretty good time. You get some beer and some popcorn in you. It's over before you know it. And you get to see old what's her ass, Melissa Bear plays Nurse Ginger in a tasteful little nightie.
Yeah, she's running around in a nurse's uniform.
Yeah, that too. I imagine it is hard to get clothes at that size, but our greasy reporter guy did bring up a good point. Barbie clothes are probably how you would have to get. I mean, Barbies by then those large G.I. Joes were out, so you might be able to find those at a thrift store. But being as Brick is so very small, I don't know if
drive G.I. Joe insane,
dude.
That guy's voice just cracks me up in that movie.
Oh, he's great, man. I mean, I think that he's probably the best thing about the movie. Maybe every interaction that he fucking has. With every character that he interacts with is pretty dope. I like how he's like spying on Ginger. And then he just straight up blackmails her. He's like, I'm going to tell everybody where you live or whatever, unless you give me like an interview with you in an itty bitty little bikini, and that's where he makes the jokes about the Barbie people and whatnot. And he tries to blackmail Judith at one point as well. And she pretty much just gets him to give up the information and then tells him to fuck off. And he
flirts with him until he spills the beans and then says, I'm out.
Yeah. And he calls her, I think he calls her like a cock teasing slut or something like that. Or cock teasing whore or something like that.
Yeah.
And then she turns around. He's like, I'm sorry I called you a cock tease. He doesn't apologize for the second half of the insult, which I thought was just
makes me wonder if he ad-libbed that shit. He probably did, because that sounds too clever for Charlie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely, man. I mean, maybe it was our old friend here that actually wrote the script, Craig Hammond. Yeah. I'm not familiar with that name, so I'm sure I might have seen it going through Full Moon movies, but Charlie's scripts don't tend to be very good.
Trancers 2.
You bring up a good point. Yeah, man. I mean, that guy's the best. Really a character. Again, huge potential there. That guy could have shown up in other Full Moon movies as a dope.
I'm putting him in the Revengers script.
Oh, he's got to be in there.
He's going to be the wraparound guy. He's going to be the guy that brings all the people together.
Yeah, he's going to be our fucked up little Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, it's happening. It's coming together.
Hey, dude. He could have some great interactions with that chick from Dark Angel. That would be so fucking funny, dude.
What is this
Charlie
thing called
needs to
love?
hire us, man. He needs to hire us and help, at least as like script consultants or idea man. He can pay us in movies.
Yes, I will take
some movies, dude.
I will take exclusive Blu-rays, especially if they are of the subspecies variety.
I'll even take some of those fake fucking Wizard videotapes that you guys got.
Just give me a subscription to Delirium, man.
That would be nice too. Actually, I probably would legit work for Delirium issues. They're not expensive, but it would be nice to just know that I have them coming in each time they come out. I need to get the last 3 because then I'll be.
Wasn't Barbara Crampton on one recently?
I don't know about the last 3 months, but I do have at least 2 different Barbara Crampton issues from the first 29 issues or however many. I think I have 27 because I think I need the last 3.
Yeah, if I ever made a movie, I want her to be in it. After watching Jacob's Wife, I want her to be in it.
Hell yeah. Did you see Puppet Master Littlest Reich yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw that a while ago.
Okay. I thought you had seen it. Maybe it was friggin' Dave that hasn't seen it. One of my Full Moon friends strangely hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I hadn't for a long time.
She's the tour guide for the hotel.
Yeah, is she a tour guide? I feel like she has a gun, so maybe.
Yeah, or is she like the security guard for the hotel?
Like
I think she's a security guard. Yeah,
or security. Yeah, but she's something to do with that event because they're having the doll convention or whatever. I loved Littlest Reich, man. It's going to be a pleasure to cover. It's. I wouldn't count it as like canon or anything like that, or even as a proper reboot. It's more of like a really beefy Puppet Master fan film, and I dig it.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Especially their conversation about grindcore at the fucking comic shop. I love that shit. So I don't know, man. You got like a favorite scene in this thing?
Favorite scene? Shit. Probably when they're like, since like a lot of the movie is like those flashbacks and stuff. When it comes to like the action scenes, there isn't really much to speak about. But I guess like the whole scene with Brick shooting the Jack in the Box. I can never remember his name.
Jack Attack.
Jack Attack. When he shoots him and blows him up, is probably my favorite. Or Ginger Nee and Baby Oopsie Daisy in the junk.
Yeah, right in the front button.
Yeah,
it's a pretty classic. I think my favorite bit is probably just the whole meeting initially between Brick and Ginger, and he saves her from the spider. And then there's something so fucking funny about how cocky he is, where he's like, "You're not dreaming, baby," pretty much.
Yeah, it's like she's so strange. He's like, I just met you, but I'm gonna be like putting my dick out right at the beginning,
pretty much, because who else is gonna give it to you? You know?
I'm the only option you got, girl.
I suppose. I mean, I'm not inclined that way, but I suppose I could, for an older gentleman, I feel like Tim Thomerson is fairly handsome. He looks like the type of dude my mom would think is handsome, So I guess if they were normal size, that girl would be way out of Brick's league.
So if your mom ran into Tim Thomerson on the street, would she go,
Oh, yeah. Her favorite thing to say, she used to always say this about like George Clooney, Pierce Brosnan, Mel Gibson, is he can eat crackers in my bed any day. That's my mom's favorite way to say that.
When I saw Aquaman with my mother, the whole movie, she was, every time he was shirtless on screen, she's going, God damn. Shit.
Yeah.
She's shit. And then the one that she said was, he can leave his slippers under my bed anytime.
Fuck yeah. That's, that might even be, I've never heard her drop that one. But it's pretty similar. I think our parents are probably my parents are a bit older, so it's like that's totally like an old school way of saying.
She said when I asked her about it, she said that her adopted mother used to say that.
That's great.
All the time. Like whenever she would see like Cary Grant or something, she's like, "Oh, he can leave his slippers under my bed anytime." My only thing was when we watched Aquaman in the theater, every time she would be like, "Shit." two older dudes down the row were like leaning over and looking at her like my mom was having a stroke.
That's great.
Is she okay?
I suppose, though, being in Ginger's position, presumably thinking that you are going to be that size forever, you're probably going to give it up to Brick just to have a companion that you can relate to or something like that.
Yeah.
We do get kind of like a little bit of more of a backstory of Brick's planet very briefly with a couple of offhand remarks he makes when they meet as well. Like he talks about how there's like no sun tanning on his planet or whatever because people basically just burn to death because of the sun. Which you don't get explicitly told, but there is that scene where they kidnap Brick and they take him out to like those broken down like warehouses and shit where he splatters the dude. And it does look like really fucking hot. So I can buy it.
They do like the with the orange filter that they used, and there's a couple parts where it looks like there's that wavy heat thing happening
like
where
you
it
might
looks like
see
they're
a
like in the middle of the
mirage.
desert.
So that was a neat little tidbit. I mean, that's another area where the movie could have expanded on a bit. We did, they sort of dropped like that line in the first Dollman movie about how Brick had like a wife and a kid at one point. And, I mean, he could have dove into some of that. Obviously, we could go round and round about all the missed opportunities in this movie. And I think that's what happens when you make 40 minutes.
I feel like that could have been like a conversation for like the morning after shot of him talking about, what he had back on Arcturus or whatever it was called.
There is that sweet part, though, where she asks him if she would be a babe on Arcturus as well or whatever. Would I be a 10 there as well or some shit like that? And he's just like, girl, you're a knockout. She's pretty fucking hot. She's not Charlie Spratt.
You're no Helen Hunt.
True. She was adorable back then. She's always been kind of adorable, but I still stand by that I feel like there's this underlying bitchiness to her, maybe.
Yeah, by the Jeremiah that I do the movie starting podcast with, he's originally from Oklahoma, and they shot Twister down there. And he knows people from the town that a lot of the actors were like staying at night, like where the hotels were. And a lot of the town folk were saying like, Bill Pullman is like a real stand-up guy. Like that guy is just so nice and so polite and so well-mannered. And then there's Helen Cunt.
Right. I recently, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Bad Friends podcast. It's Andrew Santino, and
I think you brought it up last time.
Yeah, I've been watching that a lot, and there's one where Bobby Lee talks about he did some kind of movie that Helen Hunt directed, maybe.
Yeah, she's been directing a lot of stuff lately.
Yeah, and I don't know why this is what came into. I suppose it would a lot of people's brains meeting Helen Hunt for the first time, but all I could think of to say was that I really liked Twister. And then I guess that she just was not about Bob. I can understand a lot of people being annoyed at Bobby Lee, but for whatever reason that set them off on a bad foot. And then she was using some other office there, and he like came in like, hey, because it was normally like his producer friend's office, but he was letting Helen use it. And so, he burst in there all animated, Bobby Lee style, and I guess that pissed her off pretty good too. So she just didn't really talk to him for the rest of the shoot,
Yeah, Jeremiah was saying that she did not have the greatest reputation in town, that she was not a very nice person.
Oh shit, we got Cody up in here. What's up, buddy?
What up?
Yeah, man. I mean, they could have dove into a little bit more of that, but it is what it is. I think that is probably my favorite scene, though. Obviously, my favorite character is definitely that reporter dude because he's the only one of two like new characters introduced.
Yeah,
so it's him and Phil. And Phil, as adorable as he is with his full-size man gun and his little adorable security guard uniform.
I like how he was trying to like strut in front of the real police when they show up, when they arrest Judith. And he's just kind of like, this job's kind of dangerous.
You never know when you're going to have to lay it all on the line. It's fucking classic. It's a good cameo, but that really is what it is. I mean, I would have also loved for Phil to be running around in the vents with the dolls and shit, like helping him attack the people.
I just don't understand why they didn't use him more, like you said, like the devil possessing him or something. Like,
yeah, I mean, they set it up so beautifully with him.
He might have only been available for a couple of days, and that's why he was only in it for the length of time he was.
Yeah, that could very well be true. Phil was mostly making movies with these guys, though, so I don't know.
Yeah.
it's actually possible Charlie had him shooting something else somewhere else, and he had to go.
Yeah, you got 2 days. Use them wisely.
This feels like the type of movie, as we've touched on in the past, that Charlie was probably on set the bare minimum that he needed to be to get it done and have his name on it, you know. Because there's not a lot of directing going on here. It's just kind of like, I'm pretty sure, you know, Tim Thomerson just tossing out one-liners that might work.
I mean,
and they kept
he's a stand-up comedian by trade, so he's probably pretty good at improv.
I think so. I think that was going on with a lot of it, man, was that, you know, him and the reporter guy were allowed to just kind of wing it, and then they just wrote a loose script with some key action points, kind of pointed a camera at him and said, I know that your hips might give out at any second here, Tim, but you're going to have to fucking fight.
You might blow a knee just taking 3 steps, but can we get the shot first?
He muscled through it. I'm sure there's a lot of Bayer aspirin involved or something like that.
Like I that pain and whiskey.
Yeah, slugging those down with a handful of fucking pain relievers and just getting in there and wrestling with some giant G.I. Joe.
Acetaminophen in
it. I can't get over the Zombatoid thing, man. It's so stupid.
It is. That's like
that might
another missed opportunity. Like they could have had a cool play on words or something like that, or you know, something clever. But,
yeah, I mean,
what does it have to do with a zombie? It doesn't look like a zombie.
I don't know. There's some way to play off words with G.I. Joe that they could have done to get it close but not get sued, you know? And they just dropped the ball on that for sure. I mean, it's Zombatoid. That sounds like a lame name that would come up in a board meeting, like a research and development meeting for like a toy company. What if we call it Zombatoid? And they're just like, shut the fuck up, Phil. You know, like,
it sounds like a title for a Moonbeam film or something, you know?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I mean, they called the movie Goobers, for Christ's sake. Yeah. So anything's possible there. Whoever came up with that, though, we don't forgive you. Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
That cuts deep.
I don't know, man. What do you think's the worst moment in the movie?
The worst? Where to start?
Close it.
I think the entire finale with Oopsie Daisy and Ginger is just like super freaking cringy.
Yeah. Cringy. I mean, normally I enjoy a bit of cringe too, but this just, I think because they just keep going in on these weird rapey jokes throughout the entirety of it in a much more direct way than was done in the first movie. It just feels lazy and a bit gross.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
It could have been really funny, but I think that we're on to something with Phil being the one to do the deed. That would have been pretty fucking hilarious, man.
If he was making jokes about like himself, you know, like making fun of himself while he was doing it, he's like, you know, I may not have a lot down there, but you're going to feel it, kind of shit, you know?
Yeah, I'm just the right size.
Yeah, you know, stuff like stupid shit. And like have Ginger, but I think instead of having Ginger just sitting there and screaming and, you know, trying not to cry and squealing and squirming, having her just like throwing shit back at him the whole time.
Yes.
Would have been great. That would have been like, instead of just having her be like the damsel, you know,
it was creepy.
Have her be like, you know, like,
squirming.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna get this.
It would have been great. And I feel like if they went that route, the writers, whoever actually sat down and finished this, well, finished is a strong word. Whoever sat down and put this to paper, maybe would have taken a little more care in writing some of that stuff too. If he had a respected actor like Phil in there, which might sound silly to some people to say, but Phil's a goddamn legend. I mean, we've mentioned half a dozen movies he's been in tonight already, and he's been in a bunch more outside of that. He didn't only work for Full Moon. Yeah, he plays Tiny Dracula in that. That's one of his better roles.
That's when I met him, was when they were running that roadshow with that movie. I met him in Charles Band.
The movie as a whole is slightly terrible, but Phil is amazing in it. You know,
the 3D was pretty good because we saw it in 3D.
Oh yeah, the werewolf drooling and stuff. Yeah. That's good stuff. Good times. He could have been the best part of the movie too if he was in it more. But
I mean, like I know Phil Fondacaro is not exactly like a household name. You know, for people like us, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but like for just your everyday film goer or whatever, he's not a household name. But like, if you know that the dude has the chops and he is, you know, he's good at what he does, make the most of him when you have him.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dude who is pretty, you know, like expertly reciting Shakespeare through most of isn't it Ghoulies 2? Where he's throwing out all the Shakespeare
It's been a long time
quotes.
since I've seen Ghoulies 2.
Yeah, it's fucking rad, man. That dude, that metalhead dude, I left my tunes in there, and then he just goes and gets fucking killed. Not my tunes.
I remember him from Troll, because I really liked his character in Troll. He was like the scholar guy. I really liked him in that.
It's the most of the time, if they weren't using Phil's size to glorious effect, they actually kind of cast him against type a lot of the times. Like Troll would,
and it's never really an issue. Like no one ever brings up the fact that, like, oh, little guy,
dude. Yeah, you know,
I mean, they're just kind of like, and like in Troll especially, they're just kind of like, you know, he introduces himself as their neighbor, and they're just kind of like, hey, how's it going?
I mean, he's just, you know,
just a guy.
They just treat him like a person.
Yeah.
I think I said it in, I forget which review it was, but I called Phil the biggest little guy in the business, because he really is, dude. I think he's a better actor than Warwick Davis in a lot of respects. And that's where, you know, your more casual people, they might not know Phil's name, but they might recognize him.
Yeah, you'll recognize him like that. Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, you've seen him in 100 movies. You might not know his name, but you've seen him in plenty of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. He's kind of, what's that? Ed Neal. He's sort of like the dwarf version of, is that Ed Neal, the dude who gets like shot at the pawn shop and Terminator and shit? No, that's a totally different guy. You know,
you're talking about the guy that was in Gremlins?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rick or Dick something?
Dick Miller.
Dick Miller.
Yeah, that guy. He's fucking, I mean, that's so funny, because I think there's that documentary about him too, that's called like That Guy from That Thing. And
that's actually clever.
Yeah, and it's all about how he's like this legendary dude that's, I mean, he's in Little Shop of Horrors. He's in, you know, the more you start thinking about Dick Miller, it's like, oh fuck, he's
every movie Joe Dante has ever made.
Yeah, which for good reason. Dick's a fun guy, it seems like, or was. I think he might be dead now.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he passed away.
But yeah, man, I mean, you know, Phil's a big deal for dudes like us, and he should be for more people, I think. And it would be if they saw more movies of his successively. I got on like a kick with him when I really got into the Full Moon stuff because of that. It's like, oh shit, you know, this is that other dwarf guy that's not, you know, Warwick Davis. And then you start seeing him in more shit. He's really good in Meridian too. So actually, I don't think that him being the dude doing the deed in this would have sullied our opinion of him too much, now that I think about it. Because
I think it would have just changed the tone a little bit more, because instead of being this creepy looking doll, it would have been fucking Phil Fondacaro.
Yeah, and it could have been made funny with some better dialogue.
Let him ad lib a couple of lines and stuff, and I don't know. I think it would have still been gross, but
classier.
I don't know if it would have been as like uncomfortable to watch as it is in the movie right now.
Yeah, it would have been unsettling in a good way, not in a cringy sort of, why did you guys do this?
Like, I need to take a shower kind of way.
Because he is pretty fucking creepy in Meridian. And he roofies those girls and breaks the mirror with that goblet, and he's actually kind of one of the scarier elements of the movie. But it's done in, like, I don't know, a classier way with a little bit more thought to it than, I mean, that feels less uncomfortable than Baby Oopsie in this, actually, if I'm honest. You know, the beast sex that happens after he roofies them is another story. Phil really just only fucking dosed him. But yeah, dude, we got to do Meridian. That's like kind of a
I gotta watch it again
situation with that one, but it's so good, man. I like how
I really want to get a copy of Netherworld, because I really want to watch that again too.
Got a discussion for that coming up at some point. I don't think anyone's claimed it yet. I don't remember.
I don't want to claim all of them.
You're welcome anytime, man. Netherworld will be a much better discussion piece than this was, because there's a lot to Netherworld, and
yeah,
just so many delicious layers to it. And the soundtrack alone, you could talk for an hour about. But yeah, I think we've pretty much done this one justice. I mean, I don't know. Let us know your guys' favorite bits from this, or where you think it stacks up in the trilogy there. Honestly, if we were including Bad Channels, this would still be dead last, because Bad Channels is a much better movie than this as well. So highly recommend checking that out. We're going to be doing a discussion for that at some point as well, because it was in this wave of reviews. I don't know. You got another one on that list that you want to come on for eventually? Or?
Oh, we're talking about possibly doing Oblivion.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So whenever you want to schedule that, we'll get that going. I've still got my buddy Ryan from Canada going to be coming on for Crash and Burn here real soon. My buddy Kroll actually chose Arcade, so we're going to have to schedule that as well. And I got a couple other more people on the list that have selected films. The Dead Hate the Living is one that I'll probably be banging out at some point this month. With
Jason, give you a date yet?
Jason, no. I got to press that guy about that Seed People thing and just be like, all right, man, you're gonna have to pick a day here, because I want to like watch it again too. I do actually enjoy Seed People quite a bit.
Yeah, Seed People I remember being pretty fun.
That's another poster I got to get for the wall here. Put that on the.
You can have them be the foot soldiers for the Revengers, for the evil guys. Just send out the Seed People.
Kind of like what is it?
Then we could have a Dollman versus an evil Dollman.
Oh fuck yeah! That definitely has to happen, like a mirror match.
It's happening.
This is the dude. We've got to talk to somebody at least about trying to get that type of shit made.
I'm gonna start writing it tomorrow when I'm at work. I'm bringing my laptop. It's happening.
Fuck yeah! I mean, let's be honest. Well, he's done with the Evil Bong stuff actually, so Charlie might be into doing something like that now. Unfortunately,
yeah,
friggin' Brick is old as shit.
Yeah, they'd probably have to use the girl that took Tim Thomerson's place in Transformers 6 to play his character now.
Well, to be fair, she's not the worst thing about that movie, but it's not great either. I'd settle for it. Unfortunately. I'm such a fan of the stuff that I would just be like, all right, if we get like off-brand Brick, we've got to really put some good stuff into these other guys. We can for sure get Radu.
That's all. Just deep fake him.
Oh, man. Speaking of, you've been watching the Stranger Things, man. What about that when they deep fake Eleven's face onto that little tiny fucking kid's skull? Have you seen any of that shit yet?
Like in the first episode when
there's like flashbacks. I don't want to spoil any of it, but there's.
Well, I just started episode 5 today, so
I feel like
that's when she got back. She went into the bunker at the end of episode 4.
Okay, so you at some point in there, I'm sure you probably could have even guessed she's going to see some flashbacks, and they briefly, thankfully, deep fake the face onto like a little kid head, and it's a little unsettling, dude. And I imagine that the Brick thing would be that way as well, but in a Full Moon movie, I feel like that would be a funny.
I would have the death of Brick Bardo be the inciting incident.
We could do that. It would tear me up a little bit inside.
But then we just give Ginger the gun.
There we go. Yeah. Ginger Bardo, fucking time cop or some shit. It's got to happen, man. We got to do something with it. It's too rich of a rogues gallery of villains and a roster of heroes to not have something like that. And as we've touched on in this and illustrated pretty well, they've never brought this stuff to fruition, man. I mean, you got this.
You have all of the elements on hand. You own all of them.
Yeah.
Do something with it.
Dude, I still can't believe we never got Puppet Wars, where it was going to be the fucking Puppet Master shit versus Universal Monsters. I mean, that just sounds amazing. And they dropped the ball on their fucking reboot series for the Universal Monster stuff, too. I haven't seen them, but they seem pretty neat. I think they did Werewolf Reborn and Frankenstein Reborn. For like, not Moonbeam, but it was like a secondary kids label that they started for a minute to try to bring back those Universal Monsters. I forget what it's called, but there's some pretty sick promo art for it with all the Puppet Master dolls with like the logo for the new Monsters series or whatever. I mean, it's just that would be not my first choice of things to bring into the Full Moon universe. I like the idea of them doing it, but really when it boils down to it, that's just Charlie being cheap.
I don't want to create new characters.
I'd rather see him cross over with Trauma, if anything, if he had to take it outside of the studio.
Could you imagine, like, oh, Jesus, like Trancers meets, Sergeant Kabuki Man, kind of thing.
That would be one of my first choices for sure. I think it would be stupid but hilarious to see Mordred interact with Toxie.
It's like, let me try to fix you.
Just
Then he'd
makes
be like,
it worse.
no, the toxic waste has seeped too deep.
I don't know, man. I mean,
Toxic
Trauma,
Avenger's like, no, I was born to be this way. You can't change me.
you'd have to get a little creative with the Trauma end of it, because they do have their heroes, but there's like only a few of them. But there are characters from other Trauma shit that would be cool to see interact with it. Like I could see like a Class of Nukem High and Hideous crossover or something like that. Like that crazy
surf Nazis
doctor.
must die.
Oh yeah, that dude, they might as well exist in the same universe as Nukem High. Even though it's like, you know, technically it does because Trauma distributed them, but I don't think Trauma made Surf Nazis, did they?
No. Yeah, I think they bought it.
Yeah, it's Trauma Team Video, I think, is the ones where it's like just they put it out.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I'm not as well versed with Trauma, but yeah, that would be cool to see if you're gonna cross Full Moon over with another roster of stuff. It should be something contemporary, you know, not or you know, some peers. You don't go back to the Universal Monsters shit. What connection does Full Moon even really have to that other than
Dr. Mordred versus the Sharknado?
Fuck yeah, dude. I get behind that. I don't know. Let us know what insane Full Moon crossover you'd like to see. I think our Revengers idea, though, is just naturally came together pretty well. There's a lot of sick options for that. And I think we, jokes aside, should start writing something with that. Piecing it together.
I'm gonna have to start watching more of the library now that I got, you know, I'll just stick my ass in front of the TV and watch Tubi all day.
Hell yeah, man. If you ever need to check anything that's not on there, you definitely are welcome to use the Full Moon streaming as well. I'll hook that up.
Oh shit.
Hell, I might even fucking buy you an account just to get the
set.
DVDs. Yeah. Well, I've got the set, but they also offer 10 discs of your choice now. If you so for $60, you can get 10 movies from them, Blu-ray or DVD. So yeah, we'll talk. Because it is worth having too. You get all the Blue Underground stuff. You get all the Something Weird video. So like all the Herschel Gordon Lewis shit and whatever. And then they've got like their Euro Cine collection stuff on there, and a ton of stuff that they can't put on like Amazon or Tubi because of content like limits. You know, there's certain shit that's like greasy enough they won't allow Charlie to put it on there. I guess, you know, all the Surrender Cinema stuff if you're into that.
Oh yeah, I know. That's usually the only stuff that's left on the website.
I'm collecting it and I'm gonna watch it all. But, you know, after the couple that I've seen, it's like I can see what we're in for here. In their defense, usually they are pretty funny, but man, you got to sit through a lot of softcore 90s porn to fucking get to that stuff.
Oh, Cinemax.
It's like that shit that you would have been watching through a scrambled. Some of it's basically hardcore, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe some of that was allowed to be just like released on video like that, because I don't think they even kept those Surrender movies like in the back room or anything.
I know we didn't when I was at the video store when I worked there.
You did?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
we had like a softcore area that was like right outside the porn area, and that was the kind of stuff that we would keep it there.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting aisle as
never got an X rating. It was not in the porn room,
which is wild because some of it probably. I mean, I'm pretty loose when it comes to content, you know, but some of that stuff should be X-rated. You fucking, even the first Famalian movie has got shit in it where it's like, the only reason that that's not fully X-rated is because they don't follow the act through to completion, basically, you know, and there's no close-ups, but that's it, you know. The movie itself is pretty funny, though. It's kind of like Splash, but if Splash was a porno movie about an alien, you know.
And they didn't use CGI to remove her butt crack.
No, butt crack is fully intact. So I don't know. That does it for us. You got anything that you want to plug, Chris? You got anything going on?
Yeah, the Old Ass Retro Gamer on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Look up the movie starting on all of the major podcast download sites. And also check out the Super Enabler Brothers show on Corpse Flood Gaming's channel on YouTube. That's pretty much all there is.
Fucking A, man. All good stuff, too. I can vouch for all of that content.
Yeah, you've been on all those things.
Quality stuff. We got to do another Enabler Bros one of these days.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really have much going on other than these. I mean, I am working on some reviews to get out there, but this whole Seaver raffle thing kind of came up, and, you know, sort of I decided to launch the whole fan page and shit at the same time and start getting stuff ready to, you know, log over on the review account for that. So if you're interested, subscribe to that on YouTube, just Camp Sievage. And we're also running a raffle for another day where you stand to win all types of stuff, 3 chances at like 19 different movies. I did a video just the other day sort of explaining it. So all the money from that raffle is going to go to support Chris Seaver's latest project, which is Wellsville Nights. It's going to be a series essentially about, you know, it's basically Degrassi meets like a sleazy R-rated version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like just goofy, off the wall, absurd, Chris Seaver style nonsense that we all
could be down for that.
It's, dude, I think you would enjoy it. And there's, you know, check out that video for the raffle later on or tomorrow or whatever, man. You know, kick in $10, you get a chance to get on the wheel, and you have 3, you know, there's 3 tiers of gifts. The first one's like a box set with 13 movies and a replica mask, and both of them are signed. The second tier is like these 6 movies. It's a 6 movie set essentially of like half the movies you would get in the box set for the first tier. And then the bottom tier is just a copy of the Weirdsies, which is his tribute to Stand By Me, where a few chicks and their gay friend go out to find this dead body by the train tracks so they can lose their virginity. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I think you were on the stream when I showed it off one time. It's quite an experience. So
I can imagine.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I got going on. There are going to be more full moon reviews coming. But, you know, I'm kind of trying to just get the Seaver stuff going at the moment, and we're already doing these discussions. So eventually I'm going to start rolling out the edited reviews again so that we can build up a, you know, lineup of these to do discussions for next year. I think this is going to kind of just be the routine, you know.
Nice.
Each year I'll just, you know, put the lineup up and see who wants to do full lengths for them, and we'll bang them all out, man. Every full moon movie eventually will be covered on this channel in short and long form reviews. So
I got some good news.
What's that?
This stream is officially longer than Dollman versus Demonic Toys.
It is by 13 minutes. We did it. And honestly, we offered a lot better.
We exceeded our own expectations.
Yeah. Our ideas that we gave you in this for the movie were much better than the movie itself. So it's not even me just patting us on the back. It's just cold hard facts, baby.
Yeah.
But let's
get a remake going. Let's
There's got to be a way to combine them all. Like Dollman, Demonic Toys, and Puppet Master. I think if you were going to do another one, that's the way to go with it and just get insane with it. But that'd be one of those $1 million projects that Full Moon's just not capable of these days. So we'd have to outsource it, get someone else to pick it up. Maybe those guys that did Littlest Reich. I could see that working. So, I don't know. Let us know. Get a hold of us, Charlie. Once again,
yeah.
We will work for movies.
We're your guys.
You can pay us in product. And, you know, we'll probably give you a lot of stuff we'll make you some money as well.
Yeah.
So get at us, dude. And, you know, as always, I have been Mosley. You guys have been a bunch of sexy beasts, and this has been yet another episode of that Full Moon Live, baby. We'll see you back here real soon.